This year, our 15-year-old daughter Grace has been quite obsessed with making her various sourdough recipes. Today she made a sourdough discard pizza, and it was quite tasty. We're going to show you exactly how she made this using her sourdough discard. The first step here is certainly to get this pizza stone nice and hot.
It's heavy.
Grace got a little bit of a head start here, so I had to make her reshoot this so I could see us putting this in the oven. This is getting preheated to 450 degrees. And certainly whenever our family makes pizza, we do like to use that pizza stone, and you make sure that gets nice and hot. And while that pizza stone is getting nice and heated up, Grace has grabbed her jar of sourdough discard, and she's grabbing 1 cup of this to start preparing the crust. This doesn't have to be super accurate, but as long as you're close, you're pretty good. And then she's going to place that into a mixing bowl. Now you can use your sourdough discard as the crust straight up, but we like it just a little bit more fluffy. And speaking of fluffy, that's Pete in the background there, and that's also our neighbor's dog. We're doing some dog sitting this week, and she is super curious as to what's going on here. And what's going on is Grace is adding 1 cup of all-purpose flour right into the mixing bowl. And that gets followed up with a half a teaspoon of salt. And there we go. And now she's adding a half a teaspoon of baking powder. Now at first, Grace wasn't really in the mood to mix this by hand or to knead this by hand, so she pulled out the KitchenAid to get the initial mixing done. And I guess she just wanted to make more dirty dishes. With 6 people in this house, yeah, that's just what we need. But once the flour and the baking powder were all mixed in, she made the switch to mixing by hand. So if you're not using a pizza stone, you could use 1 tablespoon of olive oil to rub that across your pan, fully covering all the surfaces. But since we still like that olive oil taste, we're mixing that right into the dough. That olive oil taste is a perfect complement to sourdough. And our house guest this week, Carmel, she's still quite interested in what's going on here. And now Grace has found a new purpose for that mixer, a paperweight. She has her mat all laid out here, and she's going to sprinkle that with flour and then grab that dough. At this point, she's just going to knead this for about 2 to 3 minutes, giving that dough a nice thorough workover. And once you're done kneading, Grace, what's the next step?
Roll it in a ball.
Okay, I guess we roll it into a ball, and at that point we just let that sit there for 30 minutes to let that rise.
You have to put a dish towel over it.
And Grace just told me you need to put the towel over that while it rises for 30 minutes. And now she sprinkles some more flour onto that mat and brings that dough from the bowl right onto that mat. Then you just roll this out to the thickness that you're looking for. We're choosing about 1/8 of an inch. And now Mom is here to help her transfer this over to the pizza paddle. Perfect. And now it's time to get creative with all your toppings, starting off with that pizza sauce, leaving a nice border there for the crust. Grace has grabbed some onion powder and spreading that over the crust. And now she's going to evenly spread out some garlic powder. Well, mostly evenly. And of course need a nice heavy dose of shredded mozzarella. And now it's time for pepperoni. No, not pepperoni, Carmel. It's pepperoni. And as you can tell, Grace really loves her pepperoni. And now we've got that stone fully heated at 450 degrees. It's time to start baking this thing. Grace elected to only bake this for 12 minutes. I would have probably gone about a minute or 2 longer just to brown up that crust a little bit more. But hey, this is her project. Just as long as that pizza doesn't fall off of that pizza paddle. Whew, that was a little bit close. And Grace got some pretty high reviews from the family on this one, so it did not last very long at all. And we know it goes great with pizza. Garlic bread. Be sure to click on this video up here to see how we make that. God bless.